what are some of the challenges that you face as a Latinx woman within, within the workforce and in school, and more so the, like, how are you perceived as, like, as a Latinx woman in certain spaces?
Yeah, definitely. I think my experience as a Latina woman it might be very different from other people, um, just because I'm a person who demands to be seen in a room full of women and full of men. Um, but I think for me, a Latina woman has really helped me grow from a lot of the experiences and challenges that I have gone through. As a child, as a teenager, as a first generation college student. And I think for me, being a Latina woman is about constantly growing and overcoming challenges. And for me, one of the main challenges that I go through is being the first in everything, in my family. So being the first one in college, being the first one to fill out their FAFSA, being the first one to apply to grad school. It has been a lot of firsts for me, and I think that's one of the most challenging things, is because it's very being the first of everything is kind of lonely and it's kind of difficult and painful, just because you have to kind of figure it out on your own. And so, as a Latina woman, I have learned to ask for help. I have learned to build a support system, and they're all things that we're not taught in our homes, to like look outside for help. People think it's, like you're putting your dirty laundry out there. But definitely asking for help, building a support system has been something that has helped me with that. And I always tell people, like, build your support system. Have 2 to 3 friends that you can count on for emotional support, but don't overwhelm them. Look for people to network with that will help you in your academic journey, and people who will help you in your leadership journey, because it's difficult to be the first in your family and to really feel alone in times of things that you're expected to do or that you need to do for yourself. Um, so my experience as a Latina woman has really been centered about, how do I do it in a world that's not built for me? Which is something that I think about every day. Like when I feel like I'm not doing enough, I take time to definitely write down the things that I do and think about, like, wow, like I did all these things even though they were not made for me to succeed. And it's definitely something that, like, uplifts me in a time where I feel like I don't do enough, or I'm not doing what I need to do, or I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, let's look at how I succeeded in all these other aspects. As a Latina woman, like, how have I been able to do this? How have I been able to do that? How have I impacted other people's lives? And it was not made for me to do that, and I've overcome those challenges as a Latina woman. um I really, like, not to say that I inspire myself, but like it's a very different, like, being able to rely on yourself and also recognize your growth throughout the years is really something that gets you through as a Latina woman. Like that act of reflecting, which I don't think I did enough of before I came to the Women's Center, as an intern, and then eventually a program assistant. Has really taught me to reflect on the things that I do, and put value in my worth, and what I choose to do, has been, like, definitely one of the tools that has helped me with any challenge as a Latina woman, whether it be emotionally, personally, physically, just pushing through, but doing it in a way that works for me, and understanding that not everyone's journey, Latina or not, is the same. you know it's very different. So not comparing myself, because comparison is the killer of all joy. So definitely being authentic, asking for help, as well as reflecting on what you do, why you do things, why something is important to you, and how far you've come. Make a timeline if you have to. Like, sometimes I'll make timelines from, like, what was I like when I was 13, and I'll think, like, ooh, like, gosh, I was struggling, and then, like, being like, okay, what was I doing when I was 14? what was I doing when I was 15? And when I get to like what I'm doing at 21, I'm like, wow, I've come such a long way that like, how can I not be proud of myself? And all thinking about all the challenges that, you know, I've been faced with. Um, like, how can I not be happy with the work that I've done, you know? So sometimes, like, as a Latina woman, one of the main challenges is just believing in yourself and believing that you can do it. You know, so I think that, and it has to do a lot with that imposter syndrome that we always talk about, you know, making sure that you're motivating yourself, because I think a lot of the times we're our worst critics, because we know our mistakes, we know maybe what we could have done better, we know our dreams and our goals, and sometimes we think that we're not enough. But definitely, like having tools and resources and just like conversations with yourself, will definitely help with that imposter syndrome, because everyone has imposter syndrome. Just as a woman of color, it's definitely more so than someone else.
Yes, definitely, Janelle. I think it's just so important to have like tunnel vision. Like there will be challenges along the way, but like there's people that are younger than you, or younger girls or younger guys that'll be like, hey, that Latina woman, like she made it. I can do it too. So I think that's just so important, that although challenges will come, like you'll get through it, and having that great support system around you to continue to encourage you. And even if you don't have that, like be that to yourself. Like you have to encourage yourself and be like, I'm gonna get through this. Like I'm gonna do this. So I think that was really key, Janelle. And so just thank you for sharing that. And your
Before we go, we just wanted to ask you like 2 more questions, and we like to do a fun fill in the blank question. So Janelle, to be a woman is to
Be resilient. I would say, for me, the word resilient has kind of changed over time. But I think that every woman always adapts and changes and is resilient, with whatever challenge they're facing. And I think that it's powerful being resilient. But it also touches on that subject of, you know, how tiring being resilient can be, and having that, you know, pain or that, exhaustion kind of fuel you to, you know, help yourself and not only think of others but also thinking of others. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, which is what being a woman I think is all about at a time like this. It's about work, but it's also about yourself.
Is there anything else before you go that you would like to share, that you would like to encourage our guests with? Anything else you wanted to share?
I would say just be authentic, reflect on every single thing that you do, and you've got it. You've got it. It's going to be fine. Look for help. Take a mental health day. You got it.
Awesome. And how can people reach you if they're like, okay, this girl, she's speaking facts, like she's telling, like I really need her to be my mentor. Like, how can I reach her? I need to talk to her. Any ways that anyone can reach you?
Yes. So my email is JACEV, V as in Victor, 042@fiu.edu. Honestly, I respond to my email more than I do to my texts. Anyone who emails me can attest that I probably email back faster, because I'm usually on my computer and not my phone. So that's probably the best way to reach me. If for whatever reason you don't have that, you can also like just email the Women's Center or DM the Women's Center. My Instagram is Janny, JANNY _ Licha, LICHA. And you can also DM me from there. Yeah, just DM me or email me. Email me is probably best, because I'm always on there, literally always. So
Thank you so much for coming on today. We're so happy that you were able to share so much with us, and we are so like proud. Like wow, like so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's always great to be on the Womanhood podcast. I love it.
Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Womanhood podcast. If you enjoyed part 1 of this episode, please be sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss out on part 2. Comment down below what you enjoyed most about part 1, and I'll see y'all in the next episode.